Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Liberty, watching the stars through the main viewport. His ship was one of 12 human vessels floating in space near the giant space station called Nexus Prime. The station looked like a massive metal city with lights blinking everywhere. Ships from dozens of alien races docked at its many ports. Jake had been a captain for 8 years. He was 35 years old, with brown hair and calm blue eyes. Today felt different from any other day in his military career. Today humanity would ask to join the Galactic Confederation. The aliens who ran most of the galaxy would decide if humans were good enough to be members. "Captain, we're getting a message from the station," said Communications Officer Danny Hayes. He was a young man with red hair who always spoke clearly. "They want all human captains to report to Conference Room 7 in 1 hour. Jake nodded. "Send word to Captain Grant and Commander Bell. Tell them we meet in 30 minutes to go over our plan one more time." The plan was simple. Ambassador Claire Watson would speak for all humans. She would ask the Confederation to let Earth join as a peaceful member. The 12 human ships would show that humanity could defend itself, but wanted friendship, not war. Jake walked to his ready room and put on his best uniform. The dark blue fabric had small metal pins showing his rank and service record. He looked in the mirror and wondered what the aliens would think of humans today. 30 minutes later, Jake met with the other human commanders in the Liberty's meeting room. Captain Lisa Grant commanded the UES Defender. She was a tough woman, with black hair pulled back tight. Her ship was known for its strong shields and brave crew. Commander Ryan Bell ran the UES Guardian. He was older than Jake, maybe 40, with gray hair at his temples. His ship had the best weapons in the human fleet. All 3 officers had fought in the border wars against pirates. They knew how to handle their ships in battle. "The aliens are going to test us today," Lisa said. She looked at the data pad in her hands. "Our intelligence reports say they don't think much of human technology. They call our ships toys and our weapons primitive." Ryan leaned back in his chair. "Let them think what they want. We've surprised enemies before." He smiled, but his eyes stayed serious. "The important thing is we stick to the plan. No matter what they say, we stay calm," Jake agreed. "Ambassador Watson knows what she's doing. Our job is to look professional and ready. Nothing more, nothing less." The 3 captains made their way to Nexus Prime using a small shuttle. The station was huge up close. Its metal walls stretched in every direction. Alien ships of all shapes and sizes moved around them. Some looked like giant insects. Others were smooth and silver like teardrops. A few glowed with strange colors that hurt to look at. Inside the station, the halls were wide enough for creatures much larger than humans. The air smelled different, cleaner, but with a metallic taste. Alien beings walked, crawled, and floated. Past them, some had too many arms, others had no arms at all. Jake tried not to stare, but everything was so strange. Conference Room 7 was enormous. The ceiling disappeared into shadows above. Tables arranged in a circle could seat hundreds of beings. Most were already filled with aliens representing their species in the Confederation. At the center sat Admiral Korth Valaxis of the Zephyrian Empire. He was tall and thin with pale blue skin. His forearms moved as he talked, and his large black eyes seemed to see everything. The Zephyrians had the most advanced technology in the galaxy. Their ships could destroy planets. Next to him sat General Thrak of the Chronathi. The Chronathi looked like walking lizards with thick scales and sharp teeth. They loved war and conquest. Their red eyes glowed as they watched the humans enter. On the other side were 3 members of the Ethereal Council. These beings looked like they were made of light and shadow. No one knew how old they were or where they came from. They rarely spoke, but when they did, everyone listened. Ambassador Claire Watson walked to the center of the room. She was a small woman with brown hair and kind eyes. She had spent years learning alien languages and customs. If anyone could make the aliens respect humanity, it was her. "Honored members of the Galactic Confederation," she began. Her voice carried clearly through the huge room. "I come before you today to request membership for the human species of Earth. We offer friendship, trade, and our commitment to galactic peace. Admiral Valaxis leaned forward. When he spoke, his voice sounded like wind through metal pipes. Humans. Yes, we have heard of your species. You have been playing with space travel for what, 50 years? How amusing. General Thrak made a sound that might have been laughter. Their ships are so small. I have seen cargo vessels larger than their biggest warship. One of the ethereals spoke without moving its mouth. The words appeared directly in everyone's mind. These creatures have barely left their home system. What could they possibly offer the Confederation? Ambassador Watson kept her voice steady. We offer a fresh perspective and strong determination. Humans have overcome many challenges to reach the stars. We learn quickly and adapt to new situations. Adapt? Admiral Valaxis stood up. All four of his arms gestured toward the viewing screen that showed the human fleet floating outside. Look, at your fleet, 12 tiny ships. My personal escort has more firepower than your entire navy. The room filled with sounds that Jake realized were alien laughter. Different species made different noises, but the meaning was clear. They were all laughing at humanity. General Thrak's eyes glowed brighter. Perhaps you should return to your little planet and play with rocks and sticks. Leave space travel to species who actually understand it. Jake felt his hands tighten into fists. Beside him, Lisa's jaw was set hard. Ryan's face showed no emotion, but Jake knew his friend was angry too. The aliens were not just rejecting humanity's request. They were insulting everything humans had. Worked for Ambassador Watson tried again. I understand your concerns, but humans have proven what? Admiral Valaxis cut her off. That you can build ships that barely hold together? That you can travel between a few nearby stars? Any species in this room could destroy your entire civilization with a single battle group. The laughter got louder. Jake heard words in alien languages he didn't understand, but the tone made their meaning clear. The aliens thought humans were a joke. I have an idea, General Thrak said, his teeth showing in what might have been a smile. Let us give these humans a demonstration. Show them what real space power looks like. Perhaps then they will understand their place in the galaxy. Admiral Valaxis nodded slowly. An excellent suggestion. Nothing teaches humility like a proper lesson in reality. Ambassador Watson's face went pale, but she kept trying. Surely there's no need for demonstrations. We come in peace, seeking. Only peace is earned through strength. The ethereal's voice echoed in their minds. Your species has shown neither. Jake looked around the room at hundreds of alien faces staring down at the small human delegation. The message was clear. Humanity was not welcome in the Galactic Confederation. They were seen as primitive, weak, and unworthy of respect. But as Jake watched the aliens continue their mockery, he thought about something they didn't know. Deep in human space, far from any alien sensors, Project Titan had been running for 40 years. The aliens laughed at humanity's 12 visible ships, never knowing about the one ship they couldn't see. Jake touched his communication device and sent a coded message back to Earth. 3 simple words that would change everything. The Yento storm was gathering, and soon these laughing aliens would learn what humans were really capable of. 3 months passed after the meeting at Nexus Prime. The human fleet had returned to Earth space, but things were getting worse every day. Confederation ships started showing up near human colonies, claiming they were doing military exercises. Everyone knew it was just intimidation. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair aboard the UES Liberty, reading the latest reports. 5 human cargo ships had disappeared in the past 2 weeks. All of them vanished near the border between human space and Confederation territory. No distress signals, no wreckage, just gone. Captain, we're getting new orders from Fleet Command, said Danny Hayes from his communication station. The young officer looked worried as he read the message. We're being sent to investigate the missing ships near Kepler 442. Jake knew that system well. It was on the edge of human space with 3 planets that grew food for the colonies. If the Confederation was targeting supply ships, they were trying to starve human settlements into surrender. Signal Captain Grant and Commander Bell, Jake ordered. We leave in 2 hours. Full combat readiness. The three human ships jumped to hyperspace together. The journey to Kepler 442 took 18 hours. Jake spent most of that time in his ready room, studying star charts and tactical reports. Something felt wrong about this mission. The missing ships were too organized, too clean. Pirates would leave some trace. This felt like military action. Lisa Grant called him on the secure channel. Her face appeared on his monitor, looking as concerned as he felt. Jake, I've been thinking about those missing ships. The pattern is too perfect. Someone wanted us to notice. Ryan Bell joined the conversation from The Guardian. His gray hair looked more silver than usual under the bridge lights. I agree with Lisa. This feels like bait, but we can't ignore missing civilians. Jake nodded. I know, but we go in ready for anything. Keep your ships at full alert from the moment we drop out of hyperspace. When the Liberty emerged from hyperspace at Kepler 442, Jake's worst fears came true. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Sam Turner, immediately started calling out contacts. Captain, I'm reading massive energy signatures throughout the system. Multiple fleets, all Confederation. The main view screen lit up with red dots. Each dot represented an enemy warship. Jake counted 50, then 100, then stopped counting. There were too many to track individually. All ships, battle stations, Jake ordered into his communicator. This is not a drill. Captain Grant's voice came through clearly from the Defender. Jake, my sensors show over 300 ships. We're looking at the entire Confederation Third Fleet, plus reinforcements from at least 4 other species. Commander. Bell's report was even worse. I'm identifying Zephyrian dreadnoughts, Chronothi battlecruisers, and ethereal warspheres. This isn't just a trap. This is an execution squad. At the center of the alien formation, Admiral Valaxis's flagship began broadcasting on all frequencies. The tall, blue-skinned alien appeared on every human screen, his forearms spread wide in what looked like triumph. Foolish humans, he said, his metallic voice carrying clearly across space. You walked directly into our web. Did you really think we would let your pathetic species continue to embarrass itself among the stars? Jake kept his voice calm as he responded. Admiral Valaxis, I see you've brought friends. Afraid 12 human ships were too much for you to handle alone? The alien's laugh sounded like grinding metal. Mockery, even in the face of certain death. How typically human. Let me explain your situation. You are surrounded by over 300 warships representing 5 Confederation species. Your entire fleet could not defeat a single one of our battle groups. More alien voices joined the conversation. General Thrax's growling voice cut through the chatter. These humans will serve as a perfect example. Any primitive species thinking of challenging the Confederation will remember what happened here. One of the ethereals added their telepathic voice to everyone's mind. Your destruction will be broadcast across the galaxy. Other young species will learn the price of arrogance. Jake looked at his tactical display. The alien ships were moving into attack formation, surrounding the 3 human vessels completely. Energy readings showed hundreds of weapons powering up. In minutes, maybe less, they would open fire. Captain, Lieutenant Turner called out. I'm reading massive energy buildups across their entire fleet. They're preparing to fire everything at once. Lisa Grant's voice came through the communication system. Jake, even with our best evasive maneuvers, we can't survive this kind of firepower. Should we try to run? Ryan Bell added. My navigation officer says we might be able to jump to hyperspace if we move fast, but they'll probably follow us wherever we go. Jake looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. These men and women had served with him for years. They trusted him to make the right decision. But for the first time in his career, Jake felt completely calm about what seemed like certain death. He activated his personal communicator and opened a secure channel that only 3 people in the entire galaxy could access. The encryption was so advanced that even Confederation sensors would only detect random noise. Titan, you're clear, Jake said quietly into the device. Danny Hayes looked confused. Captain, who were you talking to? Before Jake could answer, Admiral Valaxis's voice boomed across all frequencies again. Enough delay. All ships prepare to fire. Let us show the galaxy what happens to species who forget their place. The alien fleet began its final approach. Hundreds of fighters poured out of carrier ships. Massive dreadnoughts charged their main guns with energy that lit up space like small suns. Battle cruisers locked their weapons onto the 3 human ships. All human vessels, this is your final moment, General Thrak announced. You should have stayed on your little planet playing with rocks and sticks. Jake stood up from his command chair and walked to the main view screen. Behind him, his crew prepared for battle they knew they could not win. But Jake was not afraid. For 40 years, humanity had been preparing for exactly this moment. Admiral Valaxis, Jake said calmly, you keep talking about teaching humanity a lesson, but I think you're about to learn something yourself. The alien commander's image flickered with confusion. What could you possibly teach us, primitive human? Jake smiled for the first time since the battle began. Patience. You see, while you've been laughing at our 12 ships, we've been working on something else. Something you never bothered to look for because you were too busy being arrogant. Impossible. Admiral Valaxis snarled. We know everything about human military capabilities. Your entire fleet is here, trapped and helpless. Our visible fleet, Jake corrected. But you forgot something important about humans, Admiral. We're really good at hiding things until we're ready to use them. On his tactical display, Jake watched as every sensor in the Confederation fleet suddenly detected something impossible. A massive energy signature was approaching the edge of the system, something bigger than anything any of them had ever seen. Lieutenant, Turner's voice was barely a whisper. Captain, something's coming out of hyperspace. The energy readings are off every scale we have. Jake looked at the confused and frightened faces of his crew. Soon they would understand why he had been so calm. Soon the entire galaxy would learn what humanity was really capable of. All hands prepare to witness history, Jake announced to his ship. Today, the galaxy learns that humans are much more dangerous when you underestimate us. Outside the viewports, space itself began to ripple and bend as something vast approached through hyperspace. The Confederation fleet, so confident just moments before, suddenly found themselves wondering what they had gotten themselves into. Admiral Valaxis's voice had lost its confident tone. What is that energy signature? What are you humans hiding? Jake's smile grew wider. You wanted to see our real fleet, Admiral. Well, here it comes. The Confederation fleet began moving forward like a wall of death. Hundreds of alien warships spread across space, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. Admiral Valaxis had positioned his forces perfectly. The 3 human ships sat in the center of a trap with no way out. Captain Jake Morrison watched the tactical display on his bridge. Red dots representing enemy ships covered the screen like stars. Each dot was a warship that could destroy his ship by itself. Together they represented enough firepower to burn entire planets. Captain, they're launching fighters, reported Lieutenant Sam Turner. His voice stayed calm, but Jake could see the worry in his eyes. I count over 2,000 small craft, heading our way. Through the main view screen, Jake could see the alien fighters streaming toward them. They looked like angry insects swarming from their nests. Behind them, the massive capital ships continued their slow advance. Lisa Grant's voice crackled through the communication system from the UES Defender. Jake, my targeting computer is having trouble keeping track of all the threats. I'm seeing at least 50 dreadnoughts, and that's just the big ones. Even if we fight like mad dogs, we've got maybe 10 minutes before they overwhelm us completely. Jake nodded, even though she couldn't see him. Lisa was right. The math was simple and brutal. 3 human ships against over 300 alien warships. No amount of skill or luck could overcome those odds. Commander Ryan Bell's voice joined the conversation from the UES Guardian. All ships reporting ready for combat, but Jake, the numbers just don't work in our favor. Should we try a fighting retreat back toward Sol system? Maybe we can warn Earth before they follow us home. Jake looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. Danny Hayes was pale but steady at his communication station. Lieutenant Turner kept calling out new contacts as more alien ships moved into attack position. The weapons officer, Sergeant Kate Brooks, had her hand on the firing controls, ready to fight even though everyone knew it was hopeless. "Hold position and trust the plan," Jake said quietly. "Everything we've worked for has led to this moment." His calm words confused everyone on the bridge. Lisa's voice came back immediately. "Jake, what plan? We're about to be turned into space dust, and you're talking about plans?" Ryan Bell sounded equally puzzled. "Captain, I've served with you for 8 years. I've never seen you this calm before a hopeless battle. What aren't you telling us?" Jake smiled but didn't answer. Instead, he opened a channel to all 3 human ships. "All hands, this is Captain Morrison. I know things look bad right now. I know we're outnumbered and outgunned. But I need you to trust me for just a few more minutes. Hold your positions and stay ready." Admiral Valaxis's voice boomed across all frequencies again. The tall alien appeared on every screen, his forearms gesturing dramatically. "Humans, you have approximately 5 minutes to prepare yourselves for destruction. I want you to use that time to think about your arrogance. Think about how you dared to request membership in our confederation." General Thrax's growling voice added to the broadcast. "Your pathetic ships will make excellent target practice for our new officers. Perhaps we'll use your wreckage to decorate our trophy rooms." The ethereal council member spoke directly into everyone's mind. "This demonstration will be remembered across the galaxy. No primitive species will dare challenge us again after seeing what happens to humans." Jake watched the alien fleet continue its approach. They were taking their time, obviously enjoying the psychological torture. Admiral Valaxis wanted the humans to suffer before he destroyed them. The alien commander had no idea he was giving humanity exactly what it needed. "Captain," Danny Hayes called out, "I'm getting some strange readings on the long-range sensors. There's something at the edge of the system, but I can't identify it." Lieutenant Turner looked up from his station with confusion. "Sir, I'm seeing the same thing. It's like there's a massive gravitational distortion moving toward us, but there's nothing there." Jake's smile grew wider. "Keep monitoring those readings, gentlemen. Things are about to get very interesting." Admiral Valaxis noticed the activity on human communication channels. "What are you insects chattering about? Have you found some new way to beg for mercy?" "Not exactly," Jake replied calmly. "We're just watching our sensors. You might want to check yours too, Admiral. You're about to see something that will change your understanding of human capabilities." The alien commander made a dismissive gesture with 2 of his arms. "Human tricks and desperate lies. Nothing you possess could possibly surprise the Confederation." General Thrax's laugh sounded like rocks grinding together. "Let them play with their toys while they can. In 3 minutes, there will be nothing left of their fleet but floating debris." But even as the aliens continued their mockery, their own sensor operators were starting to notice something unusual. Across the Confederation fleet, science officers began reporting strange readings from the edge of the system. On Admiral Valaxis's flagship, a nervous Zephyrian officer approached. His commander, "Sir, we're detecting massive energy fluctuations near the system boundary. The readings are unlike anything in our databases." The Admiral waved the report away. "Probably solar interference or some primitive human device. Focus on the attack. I want these humans destroyed within the next 2 minutes." But the energy readings kept growing stronger. Ships throughout the Confederation fleet began detecting gravitational waves that made their hulls vibrate. Space itself seemed to be bending and twisting at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Jake opened a channel to both of his fellow captains. "Lisa, Ryan, in about 30 seconds you're going to see why I've been so calm. What you're about to witness has been 40 years in the making." Lisa Grant's voice was tight with tension. "Jake, what are you talking about? 40 years of what?" "Patience," Jake replied. "While the galaxy was laughing at our 12 ships, we were building something they never bothered to look for. Something so big and so powerful that it will change the balance of power in the galaxy forever." Ryan Bell's tactical officer was shouting reports in the background. "Commander, the gravitational distortions are getting stronger. Whatever's coming, it's massive beyond anything we've ever seen." Admiral Valaxis finally decided to check the sensor reports himself. When he saw the readings, his confident expression changed to confusion, then worry, then fear. "What is causing these energy signatures?" "Science officer, Explain this immediately. The Zephyrian science officer's voice shook as he replied. Sir, something is emerging from hyperspace at the system boundary. The mass readings are impossible. It's larger than anything we've ever encountered. General Thrax stopped laughing. How large? Sir, preliminary readings suggest it masses more than our entire fleet combined. The Ethereal Council member's telepathic voice carried new uncertainty. This cannot be correct. Humans do not possess such technology. Jake stood up from his command chair and walked to the main view screen. Behind him, his crew watched in amazement as their captain showed no fear in the face of certain death. Instead, he looked like a man who had been waiting his whole life for this moment. Admiral Valaxis, Jake said calmly. You wanted to teach humanity about power. You wanted to show us our place in the galaxy. Well, class is about to begin. But I think you're going to find that you're the student, not the teacher. Space at. The edge of the system began to ripple like water. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist as something vast prepared to emerge from hyperspace. Every sensor in the Confederation fleet screamed warnings about impossible energy levels and gravitational distortions. Jake looked at the confused and frightened alien faces on his screen. Gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to humanity's real fleet. Space tore open like fabric being ripped apart. Reality twisted and bent as something impossible pushed through from hyperspace. The distortion was so massive that planets in nearby systems registered the gravitational waves. Stars themselves flickered as space-time warped around the emerging object. Then she appeared. The UES Titan slowly materialized at the edge of the Kepler 442 system, her hull stretching 15 kilometers from bow to stern. She was not just a ship. She was a floating city, a mobile fortress, a statement of human engineering that dwarfed everything else in the galaxy. Her dark metal hull bristled with thousands of weapon ports. Energy shields glowed around her like a second skin. Every sensor in the Confederation fleet went crazy. Alarms screamed on hundreds of alien ships as their computers tried to process what they were seeing. The energy readings were so high that many systems simply shut down to prevent overload. Admiral Valaxis stared at his tactical display in complete shock. His forearms hung limp at his sides as he tried to understand what his eyes were telling him. The human ship was not just bigger than his flagship, it was bigger than his entire battle group combined. Impossible, he whispered. The energy readings must be wrong. His science officer, a nervous ethereal named Zixth, checked the sensors 3 times before reporting. Sir, the readings are correct. That vessel masses more than our entire fleet. I'm detecting over 2,000 weapon systems and shield generators that register 50 times stronger than our most powerful dreadnoughts. General Thrax's confident growl had become a whimper. How did they hide something that large? Our spy networks monitor every human system. Captain Jake Morrison's voice cut through the stunned silence on all communication channels. His calm tone carried across space to every ship in both fleets. Admiral Valaxis, allow me to introduce you to the UES Titan, humanity's gift to any species arrogant enough to underestimate us. The massive ship began moving toward the battle zone. Despite her enormous size, she moved with grace and speed that seemed impossible. Her engines left trails of blue fire that stretched for kilometers. Behind her, Jake continued his explanation. For the past 40 years, while you've been laughing at our primitive technology, we've been building something you apparently didn't think we were capable of. Project Titan represented the combined efforts of every human colony, every scientist, every engineer willing to work in secret. A new voice joined the conversation. Captain Patricia Stone, commander of the Titan, addressed the Confederation fleet directly. Her voice carried the weight of absolute authority as it reached every alien ship. I am Captain Patricia Stone of the United Earthship Titan. You came here expecting to destroy 12 human vessels and prove our weakness. Instead, you're about to receive an education about what humanity is truly capable of. Patricia Stone was 50 years old, with silver hair and steel gray eyes. She had commanded the Titan project since its beginning. Under her leadership, humanity's greatest scientists had worked in underground facilities on distant moons, building the ship that would change galactic history. The Titan's weapon systems began powering up. Energy buildup was so intense that it created artificial lightning in space around the massive ship. The light show was visible from 3 star systems away. Admiral Valaxis tried to regain control of the situation. One ship, no matter how large, cannot defeat our entire fleet. All vessels, target that monstrosity and fire everything you have. The Confederation fleet opened fire with every weapon they possessed. Thousands of energy beams, plasma bolts, and missile streaks reached across space toward the Titan. The combined firepower could have destroyed a small moon. The attacks struck the Titan's shields and simply disappeared. The massive ship's defensive systems absorbed the entire Confederation barrage without even flickering. It was like throwing pebbles at a mountain. Captain Stone's voice remained calm as she responded. "Is that the best you can do? Our engineers estimated your fleet's total firepower quite accurately. The Titan's shields can absorb 10 times what you just threw at us." The alien commanders stared in disbelief as their most powerful weapons had no effect on the human ship. Decades of military doctrine crumbled in seconds as they realized their technology was completely outclassed. Jake Morrison opened a channel to his fellow human captains. "Lisa, Ryan, what you're seeing is the result of 4 decades of human ingenuity. While the aliens saw our 12 ships and laughed, we were planning for this exact moment." Lisa Grant's voice came through with wonder and amazement. "Jake, how long have you known about this?" "Since I became a captain," Jake replied. "Every human fleet officer above a certain rank knows about Project Titan. We've been preparing for the day when someone would push humanity too far." Ryan Bell was studying his sensor readings with professional interest. The power systems alone must require technology decades ahead of anything the Confederation has. How did we develop this without anyone noticing? Captain Stone answered his question. "Commander Bell, humanity learned long ago that our greatest strength is not our technology or our weapons. It's our ability to work together toward a common goal while keeping our enemies in the dark about our true capabilities." The Titan moved closer to the Confederation fleet. As she approached, her massive size became even more impressive. Alien ships that had seemed huge moments before now looked like toys floating next to a giant. Admiral Valaxis made one last desperate attempt to save face. "Even if your ship is powerful, you're still outnumbered 300 to 1. We can overwhelm you through sheer numbers." Captain Stone's laugh carried clearly across all frequencies. "Admiral, you still don't understand. The Titan isn't just one ship. She's a complete battle fleet built into a single hull. Watch and learn." The massive ship began deploying her weapon systems. Gun ports opened along her hull like flowers blooming in fast motion. Energy cannons emerged from hidden compartments. Missile bays revealed themselves as sections of the hull slid apart. But the most impressive sight was when the Titan launched her fighter wings. Thousands of small craft poured from launch bays built into her hull. Each fighter was more advanced than anything in the Confederation fleet. Within minutes, the Titan had deployed more small craft than the entire alien armada. General Thrax's voice shook as he watched the display. "How many ships does that thing carry?" "The Titan carries a complete invasion force," Captain Stone explained. "Fighters, bombers, assault ships, and support craft. She is designed to defeat entire fleets by herself." The Ethereal Council member's telepathic voice reached every mind in the system. "This changes everything. Humanity is not the primitive species we believed them to be." Jake Morrison stood on his bridge watching the faces of his crew. Wonder and pride mixed with amazement as they saw what their species had accomplished in secret. The young communication officer, Danny Hayes, looked like he was seeing a miracle. "Captain," Danny said quietly, "we really did this? Humanity built that ship?" Jake nodded with satisfaction. "We did, Danny. While the galaxy was laughing at us, we were proving that humans are the most dangerous when others underestimate us." Admiral Valaxis tried one more time to maintain his authority. "This demonstration proves nothing. Your ship may be large, but—" Captain Stone cut him off. "Admiral, this demonstration is just beginning. You came here to destroy human ships and teach us humility. Instead, you're about to learn why patience and planning beat arrogance and assumptions every single time." The Titan's main guns began targeting individual Confederation ships. The energy buildup was so massive that it created small suns in space. Every alien commander realized they were no longer the hunters. They had become the prey. "Class is now in session," Captain Stone announced. "Today's lesson is about the dangers of underestimating humanity." The battle that followed became known throughout the galaxy as the 15-minute war. It was not really a war at all. It was a demonstration of technological superiority so complete that it changed how every species viewed humanity forever. Captain Patricia Stone stood on the bridge of the UES Titan, watching her tactical displays show the positions of over 300 Confederation ships. Her gray eyes remained calm as she gave her first order. "All weapons, fire at will. Target their engines and weapon systems. We want prisoners, not corpses." Titan's main guns opened fire with precision that amazed even her own crew. Beams of pure energy reached across space and struck Confederation dreadnoughts with surgical accuracy. The alien ships didn't explode. Instead, their engines died and their weapons went silent. Within seconds, the most powerful warships in the galaxy became floating metal coffins. Admiral Valaxis watched in horror as his flagship's weapon systems shut down one by one. Each hit from the Titan was perfectly placed to disable rather than destroy. The human ship was not just more powerful than his fleet. It was so advanced that it could choose exactly how much damage to inflict. "How is this possible?" he whispered to his science officer. "Their targeting systems are more accurate than our best laboratory equipment." Zixith, the ethereal science officer, studied his readings with growing amazement. "Sir, their weapon beams are somehow adjusting their power output during flight. They're calculating the exact energy needed to disable each target without destroying it." General Thrak tried to rally his Cronathi battlecruisers for a counterattack. "All ships, focus fire on their weapon systems. Maybe we can damage something." 20. Cronathi warships concentrated their most powerful weapons on a single gun turret on the Titan's hull. The combined firepower was enough to level a city. When the energy beam struck, they simply disappeared into the Titan's shields without causing any visible effect. Captain Stone's voice reached every ship in the Confederation fleet. "General Thrak, your species prides itself on military might. Let me show you what real military technology looks like." The Titan launched a spread of missiles toward the Cronathi formation. But these were not ordinary weapons. Each missile split into dozens of smaller projectiles that moved with intelligence and purpose. They swarmed around the alien ships like living things, striking engines and weapon ports with perfect accuracy. Within 2 minutes, the entire Cronathi battle group was dead in space. Their ships were intact, their crews were alive, but they could not move or fight. The Titan had neutralized 20 warships without killing a single alien. Jake Morrison watched the battle from the Bridge of the Liberty. His crew stood in silent amazement as they witnessed the most one-sided fight in galactic history. The Confederation fleet that had seemed so terrifying just minutes before was being systematically dismantled like children's toys. "Captain," Danny Hayes called out, "I'm monitoring Confederation communications. They're trying to coordinate a retreat, but half their ships can't move." Lisa Grant's voice came through from the Defender. "Jake, this is incredible. The Titan is fighting 300 ships and winning without breaking a sweat." Ryan Bell added, from the Guardian, "My tactical officer is trying to track the battle, but it's happening too fast. The Titan is hitting targets faster than our computers can count them." Captain Stone continued her demonstration of human technological superiority. The Titan's fighter wings engaged the thousands of Confederation small craft. The human fighters moved with speed and agility that made the alien pilots look like they were standing still. Each human fighter seemed to know exactly where every enemy would be before they got there. Their weapons never missed. Their shields deflected everything the aliens could throw at them. Within 5 minutes, the space around Kepler 442 was filled with disabled alien fighters, drifting helplessly. Admiral Valaxis made one final attempt to save his dignity. He opened a channel to all remaining Confederation ships. "All vessels retreat to hyperspace immediately. We will regroup and return with reinforcements." Captain Stone's laugh echoed across all frequencies. "Admiral, I'm Afraid retreat is no longer an option. You came here to destroy human ships and teach us humility. The lesson isn't over yet. The Titan fired a spread of energy pulses that created hyperspace inhibitor fields throughout the system. Suddenly, no ship could jump to faster than light travel. The Confederation fleet was trapped with no way to escape. You see, Captain Stone explained, humanity learned long ago that the most important part of any battle is controlling when and how it ends. You don't get to leave until we're finished teaching you about respect. The remaining alien ships tried desperate maneuvers to avoid the Titan's weapons. Some attempted ramming attacks, others tried to hide behind asteroids, a few begged for mercy over open channels. Nothing worked. The Titan's sensors could track every ship in the system and her weapons could reach any target she chose. Within 15 minutes of the battle's start, every Confederation warship was disabled and drifting. Not a single alien had died, but their entire fleet was helpless. The most powerful military force in the galaxy had been defeated by one human ship, without even scratching its paint. Captain Stone opened a channel to the surviving alien commanders. Gentlemen, your education is complete. You came here believing that humanity was a primitive species unworthy of respect. I trust that belief has been corrected. Admiral Valaxis's voice was barely a whisper. What do you want from us? Jake Morrison answered for all humanity. We want the same thing we asked for at Nexus Prime 3 months ago. Respect. You came here to destroy 12 human vessels and prove our inferiority. Instead, you've learned that humanity's true strength was never in the ships you could see, prowling. Stone continued the explanation. For 40 years, while you were laughing at our visible fleet, we were building something you never bothered to look for. The Titan represents what humans can accomplish when we work together toward a common goal. The Ethereal Council member's telepathic voice reached every mind in the system, carrying new understanding and fear. This changes the balance of power in the galaxy. Humanity is not the weak species we believed. No, Captain Stone agreed. We are not. And now you will carry this message back to your worlds. Earth is no longer asking for membership in your confederation. We are informing you that the galaxy has new leadership. Over the following months, the news of the 15-minute war spread across every inhabited system. The Galactic Confederation dissolved as member species rushed to sign treaties with humanity. The races that had mocked human technology now begged for trade agreements and protection pacts. 1 year later, Admiral Patricia Stone stood on the bridge of the Titan, now serving as flagship of the Human Coalition fleet. Around her stood the officers who had witnessed humanity's greatest victory. Jake Morrison served as her fleet commander. Lisa Grant and Ryan Bell commanded battle groups spread across human space. Through the main view screen, Patricia could see dozens of star systems that now flew human flags. Species that once considered humans primitive now sent their children to human universities to learn advanced technology. The galaxy that had laughed at humanity's 12-ship fleet now spoke in whispers about the species that had proven patience and planning could defeat any amount of arrogance. Children across hundreds of worlds learned a new lesson in their schools. Never judge a species by what you can see, because the most dangerous enemies are those who let you underestimate them until it's too late. Patricia Stone smiled as she looked out at the stars. Humanity had finally taken its rightful place in the galaxy, not through conquest or destruction, but by proving that intelligence and determination could overcome any obstacle. The species that had been mocked for playing, with rocks and sticks, now guided the destiny of countless worlds. The laughter had stopped forever.